What does it actually feel like to die? It's perhaps the most universal question we carry. We've all wondered, perhaps late at night, perhaps when we heard about someone's passing, perhaps when we faced our own mortality, what happens in that final moment? In Part 2, we explore the death experience itself, not through theory or philosophy, but through the direct testimony of those who have made the crossing and returned to tell us about it. What you're about to hear may surprise you. It may challenge what you've been taught, but above all, it may bring you peace. Dolores begins this chapter by addressing a familiar cultural belief that when you're dying, your life flashes before your eyes. This has long been part of our collective understanding of death. What she discovered through her regression work is more nuanced. Yes, the life review does happen, but more often, it occurs after death, when the deceased looks back over their life to analyze what they learned. This review, she found, is often conducted with the help of masters on the other side who can look at the life more objectively, with emotions removed. But one of her subjects experienced something far more beautiful. One woman, after reliving a past life through regression, came to the point of death as an old woman. She watched her body being taken to a hilltop for burial in a family cemetery. But instead of going to the other side, she decided to return to her home to complete unfinished business. What happened next is remarkable. She found herself appearing as a ghost, startled to discover she could walk through walls, that she appeared as fog or mist in the shape of a person. She watched furniture and objects through her own transparent form. Chambermaids remarked that the old woman was haunting the house, hearing her footsteps. But being a ghost became boring. No one could see or hear her. She couldn't communicate. The instant she realized she couldn't accomplish what she'd returned to do, something shifted. She was transported out of the house to a hill overlooking a valley. Her deceased husband stood beside her, and in that dimension they were young again, looking exactly as they had on their wedding day. As they stood arm in arm looking over the valley, it transformed into what she called a valley of life. Imagine this, a brightly colored quilt thrown over the landscape, a collage of scenes and places from the life she had just left. Not a linear progression of memories, but everything at once spread out before them. Listen to her own words. We can see everything we've ever known all combined together. It's as if this was our life, and this is what we had together. We had something intact when it was over with. It's peaceful. It's sort of like you stand there and survey, as if you had some great big fields with different things growing in them. Or if you had lots of flowers in a garden. You stand and survey it. Remember what you did to get the garden ready, how things grew and developed. This was her life review, not a judgment, but an admiring, a surveying, touching different scenes, remembering what was built together, and there was no punishment. No condemnation. Only a mental note-taking of what they might want to change the next time around. Dolores then shares another remarkable account, a man who had died in an avalanche. When she asked him what it was like to die, his answer was vivid. Have you ever dived into a deep pool to where it's dark and murky at the bottom? As you come back up toward the surface, it gets lighter and lighter. Then when you break through the surface, there's sunlight all around. Death was like that. He clarified that this wasn't because of how he died, the rocks, the trauma. It was because he was going from the physical plane to the spiritual plane. Leaving my body was like coming up through the pool. Reaching the spiritual plane was like breaking the surface into sunlight. He shared something that challenges our deepest fears. Dying is pleasant. If you're worried about death, he offered this advice. Go to a place in the river with a deep pool. Dive down to the bottom. Push up vigorously with your feet and come plunging to the surface. That, he said, is what dying feels like. Dolores pressed further. What about pain? Many people fear that death will be agonizing. The answer came clearly. Death is not painful unless you have need of pain. For the most part, there is no pain unless it is wished for. This doesn't mean death can't be painful. The spirit can choose to experience pain if it feels it needs to learn a lesson. But here's the key point. You can separate yourself from pain at all times. This option is available to everyone, the separation of body and soul during suffering. The actual transition, the leaving of the body, is not painful. Pain comes from the body. The spirit feels no physical pain. The only pain a spirit can feel, she was told, is remorse. The feeling that they could have done something more. This is painful. But physical pain loses meaning when you leave the body behind. This raises a profound possibility. Can someone leave their body before actual death occurs, letting the body suffer while the spirit watches? The answer is yes. The person has that choice whether to stay and go through the pain or to leave and observe. Dolores shares a powerful example. In one regression, a young woman was being burned at the stake for her beliefs while the whole town watched. She was terrified but also furious at the bigoted people responsible. As the flames rose higher, she made a decision. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her suffer. So she left her body. She watched from a hovering position above the scene. And there, to her aggravation, she saw her body screaming as it burned. This shows something important. The body and spirit are two separate things. The body reacted yelling, jerking, as bodies do when harmed. But the real personality, the spirit, was watching from the sidelines. Think about what this means for those who have lost loved ones in violent, horrible ways. The person you love likely didn't experience the most traumatic part of their death. Their spirit had already withdrawn. Another subject offered a different description. Imagine yourself naked, cold and bleeding, walking through dark woods filled with briars and wild animals and strange noises. Behind every bush is a beast ready to pounce. Then suddenly, you walk into a clearing. Grass is growing, birds are singing, clouds drift across the sky. A pleasant brook laughs as it meanders toward its destination. The difference between these two scenes, he said, is the difference between life and death. The fear is in the forest. Once you're out of the forest, there is no fear. Yet another subject offered perhaps the simplest description. Death is no more to be feared than breathing. Dying is as natural and as painless as blinking your eyes. At one moment, you're in one plane of existence. You blink, you're in another. Any pain you feel is from physical damage. Spiritually, there is no pain. Your memories remain intact. You feel the same as if your life is simply continuing. Sometimes it takes a moment to notice you're no longer connected to your body, but usually this is noticed right away because your perceptions have broadened. You can perceive the spiritual plane without the veil in the way. At first, there's a period of orientation. You're still conscious of the physical plane while exploring and absorbing the sensations of the spiritual plane until you become comfortable with where you truly are. Dolores asked about something many have heard of, the silver cord, the supposed connection between spirit and body. Yes, the subjects confirmed this is real. In an energetic sense, it's a lifeline connecting your energies to your body, a real device. At the point of death, this cord is severed. Before that moment, you cannot become lost or disconnected. The cord holds you. This is why there's no danger in astral travel or out-of-body experiences. The cord ensures you remain connected. Some people fear staying out of their body too long during astral journeys, but the subjects assured Dolores, there's no danger. If someone didn't return, it would be by their own choosing, not because something malevolent severed the cord. Dolores asked about cases where multiple people die together, train accidents, earthquakes, disasters like the Challenger explosion. Did they all choose to go at the same time? The answer introduces the concept of group karma. Through many eons, souls tend to group together to perform certain tasks, to establish changes, or to experience life collectively. Group deaths occur when individual souls find themselves at a juncture where it's appropriate to depart simultaneously. This was agreed upon before their entry into life. In group transition, they find support. They're not alone. There's sharing in the experience. The Challenger astronauts? Yes, this was one instance where it was agreed there would be sharing of the death experience, but Dolores pushed back. If they were going to their destiny, why can't we be happy about it? Why is there so much suffering for the families? The answer came, perhaps there's short-sightedness in seeing these events. We think only of the individuals who departed. But there are many other elements. In cases like this, survivors came together, shared the experience, found comfort in knowing others were going through the same thing. It was a group experience on many levels. Let me summarize what we've learned in this part. First, the transition is peaceful. Subject after subject describes death as natural, pleasant, even beautiful, like rising from dark water into sunlight. Second, pain is not required. Physical pain comes from the body. The only spiritual pain is remorse, feeling you could have done more. Third, you can leave before the pain. The spirit has the option to withdraw and watch from above while the body reacts. This is especially relevant for violent deaths. Fourth, the life review is compassionate. Whether spread out like a valley of life or passed before your eyes, the review is about understanding, not punishment. It's educational. Fifth, you're never alone. Help is sent immediately. Souls you've had karmic connections with come to greet you. Guides and loved ones are present. Sixth, group deaths are coordinated. When multiple people die together, it's often by prior soul agreement, a shared transition with built-in support. Seventh, the silver cord protects. Until the moment of death, you remain connected to your body. You cannot become lost. As you listen to these accounts, consider, if you've lost someone in a violent or traumatic way, take comfort. They likely withdrew before the worst of it. The body reacted. The spirit was already elsewhere. If you fear death, remember the metaphor. You're walking through a dark forest. Ahead is a clearing. The fear is in the forest, not in the clearing. If you're curious about what happens next, stay with me. In part 3, we'll explore near-death experiences, those remarkable cases where someone died, went to the other side, and returned to tell us what they found. That concludes part 2 of Between Death and Life. In part 3, we'll explore near-death experiences, the tunnel, the light, the beings who greet us, and what happens when someone almost makes the crossing but is pulled back. Thank you for joining me on this journey between worlds.